What is up, guys? It's your boy Torius, back again with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about the third aspect of game, right? Which is the game of life, right? It's the game of life. So with that being said, like the video, comment below what you think about it, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it. Woo! All right. So the game of life, right? And the game of dating. They're very much intertwined because they're like the same exact thing, basically, right? Like they're very much the same thing. Life is like a sport, and sports are life, right? Because in life, you have obstacles, right? Like you have a goal, and in between the goal and you is an obstacle, right? Let's say football. In football, you're trying to get to the end zone, but guess what? In between the end zone, you have dudes trying to get you from getting there, and then you also have the distance, right? Same as in basketball. Same as in golf, even in soccer. You're trying to get to the goal, but someone's blocking you from the goal. Like every game is easy, right? Like you can create your own game whenever you have a goal, but then like someone's blocking you from the goal, right? Some even darts. Like with darts, it's like there's distance. You have to create that distance because it's hard, right? It's hard to make that bullseye. Like the bullseye is very, very small. The bullseye is very small, right? But if you have precision and you're good, then you'll make it, right? So that's basically how every sport is. Sport, like the fundamentals of sport, at least the only thing you really need for a sport is distance, right? As long as you can give a distance and a goal, then you have a sport. Even running, you have a distance. Running could be considered a sport. It's like the most basic sport ever. You just gotta run to the goal. Football is even more challenging. Even chess can be considered a sport too. Because you have a goal, beat all the other person's, but it's like more intellectual because you gotta think instead of like physical. That's basically women too. Like you can see women as a sport, right? Like you talk to women as a sport. That's why they call it game, because it's a game, right? You have to get to the end zone. What is women's end zone? It's pussy, right? It's kids. It's having children. The whole point of it's so funny because like when you see kids, they don't realize that they are the results of a game, right? They're the results of a barrier that was broken, right? Of penetration. Like children are the result of penetration. So what happens is that children, it's just funny to see them that way, right? Because they don't know, they're ignorant to it. But that's what it basically is. Like their mom and dad their dad penetrated their mom and then created the kid. You feel me? So in order to have another you got to penetrate that barrier, that boundary, So women are creating and it's so funny because a man's job is to create a boundary, right? Like women already have their boundaries because they say, no, I don't want to have sex with you. Oh, I'm not going to look at you, da, da, da. But men, a lot of dudes don't have any boundaries, and dudes have to create, like our job is to create those boundaries, because when it comes to women, that's so crazy, right? But when it comes to women, you gotta create the boundary around you too. It's like the boundary is you and her, and you have to tell her like, no, I have these boundaries too, and you put her in check so that she doesn't. Because a woman wants a dude with boundaries. That's so weird. That's so crazy because I'm just like seeing all this stuff in my head, and I'm understanding all this stuff, right? But yeah, the girl just wants to do with boundaries, right? Because those are the mysterious dudes, right? Like being mysterious. A mysterious dude is just a dude who has a lot of boundaries around his mind in his field, right? Because I remember my boy, like when I'm around him and shit, like some of my boys, I'll be like saying, oh yeah, your mom this, your mom that, ha ha ha. But I would never say it to him, and I never understood why, right? I never realized like, oh, let me not make fun of his mom. But it's crazy because that's so weird. Because one of my boys, his mom is passed away, and I would always say like, oh, you're a girl. But then my boy, he has his mom, but then I wouldn't make fun of him because he had boundaries, right? He had strong boundaries, and that's what it was. But that's our job as men, right? To have those boundaries, and that's how life is. Life is protect your shit. You feel me? Protect your shit. Like if you have a girl, you gotta protect her. If you have a kid, you gotta protect them because the world is dangerous, right? And it's like you gotta create those boundaries. And it's like I feel like I feel like you get rewarded. Like, a kid is the next step of boundaries, right? Like, you got to protect that kid. And if you're not creating those boundaries in the kid, in yourself, you don't get to move on to that next level, right? Like, and that's what girls find attractive. Girls find attractive a dude that has boundaries, a dude that's gonna protect himself, that's gonna stand up to him for himself, who has a backbone, right? Who's a real man. That's what girls, what they're saying. It's like, oh, this dude has a lot of boundaries. You know? He's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. No, say, you know, like, not let people take advantage of you. Because when you are taken advantage of, that's how you get killed. That's how you die. So a dude that's just like standing up for himself is very sexy to a woman. Because that's how life is. It's like, it's because that dude, if he's able to keep a boundary for himself, then he's able to make it to the end zone, right? Like in football, dudes are trying to tackle him, but he has those boundaries. He's like maneuvering around, and he's not able to be stopped, basically, right? So that's basically life. You feel me? Like, in life, you have a goal, right? Anytime in life that you have a goal, life creates obstacles for you to not be able to get to that goal, and you have to figure out. Like, I was watching School of Rock, right? Like yesterday, and I hadn't seen that movie in a while. But while I was watching it, I realized that, because you know, in movies are all about breaking through obstacles. It's about conflict and resolving, right? Like the resolution of conflict and shit. And you know, like, while I'm watching School of Rock, I'm realizing a lot of lessons in that movie. You know, like, I'm realizing that what happened is you know, like, they try to get to the Battle of the Bands, right? They're like, oh, we need to get to the Battle of the Bands, but then what's their obstacle? Oh, sorry, we're all booked out. You know, it's like, it seems like such a high wall to climb, right? Like, that's such a high wall to climb, and he just gives up, right? He's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna give up. Like, it wasn't meant for me. Like, it's, you know. But then the girl Summer, she comes up with the plan. She's like, here, I have a plan. And then he just like pretends that they're sick and shit. Like, he gets through that barrier, and he's able to get to the next part. You feel me? And in order to get to the next part, you have to break through that barrier. It's like, if it was me, right, and they said to me, oh, you know, you can't do it because yada yada yada. I don't know if I would have continued. I would have probably taken, you know, I don't know. And even right now I'm doing Instacart, right? I'm doing Instacart, and when you do Instacart, it's like the goal is the money, right? Like, you see that money. Sometimes I'm thinking like, damn, I really need that $20 right now, but I gotta do, like, spend a whole hour to get it, you know. Like, the $20 is the reward, but in between that $20 is the barrier, the obstacle. You feel me? There's an obstacle that you gotta face, because they're trying to praise. It's like, basically, like, you're protecting that $20. You know, that $20 is protected by the time that it takes for me to get all the groceries and then deliver it. Right? Once I break through that barrier of the time it takes to get it and breaking through that and delivering them, those are all challenges. It's like a challenge for me. You feel me? And I got to break through that barrier every time. But once I break through it, then I get the reward. Right? I get to the end zone. I get those plus 7 points. You feel me? So that's basically how you gotta see life. In life, every time, because you can't just go through life having no goals, right? The more goals you have, even if you fail, you're supposed to let them empower you, right? Like, people give up because they let their defeats define them, right? And there's this interesting book by Malcolm Gladwell, I believe. It's called, is it by Malcolm Gladwell? I don't know. But it's called Failure, right? Failure. It's about failure and success. I forgot the name of it. I read it a while ago. But it was basically about how failure makes success, right? It's basically about how when you're going through failure, like the dude that made I don't know, whatever. It was basically about how you got to see failure as a stepping stone to success, because you see what didn't work. Like, in the last video I made about game in part 2, I was explaining how, you know, you take a girl on a date, and she eats up your money, and then she doesn't, you know, she go back up. So you know, you see that, and you're like, oh damn, you know what? You thought about, that was basically a failure. But you think about how you failed. You think about what you did wrong, and then you implement it. All right, next time I'm not gonna do that. Next time I'm gonna do this instead. And you just keep changing up your approach, changing up your process, right? and you see, you keep learning. You keep learning more things, and you implement that into it. And you realize, okay, next time I'm gonna do this. This is gonna work. This is what's gonna work next time. And then you just keep doing what you think is gonna work, and then you're Gucci. You know, you're Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang. But yeah, it's basically life. That being said, I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Like the video, comment below what you think about it. Subscribe if you're new, and if you have any questions, DM me on Instagram at Torius, ask us for interviews, and I'll answer it in the next video. Peace.